Fullmetal Alchemist and the Broken Angel is a game developed by Racjin and published by Square Enix, which was then released in 2003 in Japan and then 2005 in the US. To give a bit of background on Fullmetal Alchemist, it's a manga series that ran from 2001 to 2010, written and illustrated by Hiromu Arikawa. It has 2 animated adaptations and 1 Netflix adaptation, and pretty much every single one of those, I think outside of the Netflix adaptation, is beloved by fans around the world. I assume that if you're here, you know what the main story of Fullmetal Alchemist is, and if you don't know, 1, what are you doing? Go watch Brotherhood, and 2, the main gist of it is on screen right now. You can pause it and read it if you'd like. Back onto the main topic of the video, Fullmetal Alchemist and the Broken Angel is an action RPG for the PlayStation 2, featuring a completely new story written by Hiromu Arikawa, though of course it's non-canon. Or maybe it actually is. I've heard conflicting sources on this. You're gonna have to wait just a little bit longer to hear about that story though. Because first we gotta talk about the gameplay. Broken Angel is Devil May Cry but Fullmetal Alchemist. It's a linear, combo-based hack and slash with RPG elements. However, it sadly does not come close to the snappiness of DMC combat. Square is your attack button. You can spam it multiple times along with a few other buttons to get a combo going. Your X button jumps. That's really all it does. O uses your alchemy. Pressing it once makes a wall of stone appear in front of you to block attacks and helps you jump higher by acting as a platform. Holding L will make spikes of stone appear in front of you. It also lets you transmute, add elements onto weapons, turn objects into weapons and other items for combat, etc, etc. Think stuff like bombs, big rocks, stuff like that. Triangle picks up and uses transmuted items. That's really about it. The left analog stick moves you around while the right moves the camera. R2 does a dodge and R1 is how you command Alphons. Yeah, every single command for Al is on R1. Pressing it at a distance calls him to you. Pressing it when you're near an enemy will make him tackle the enemy, and while next to a weapon or transmuted object, pressing R1 lets him wield or use it, as long as it isn't specifically for Ed. Holding down O and pressing R1 while you're nearby Al will allow you to do a large AoE special attack. Overall, the combo game at its base level isn't as interesting as I think it could be. The thing that makes the game really fun is this, the leveling system. You gain XP by just doing combos, which means that if you're good at the game, you can land a sizable combo and get a shit ton of XP out of it, instantly healing you and letting you continue your rampage. It's also held by the Frenzy bar. After a certain amount of attacks, you enter a Frenzy mode. Your damage is buffed and you gain even more XP, all for just doing what the game is best at. Leveling up grants bonus points, which you can use to instantly increase defense, alchemy, attack, the standard RPG fare. Essentially, you consistently do combos, get XP, then get put into frenzy mode and get more XP, healing you back up to full, giving you more bonus points to put into more stats to just continue getting better and better, all the while making it so that you never really have to take a break to go grind. That's really all there is to the gameplay. It does get kind of samey in the late game, but you can break it up by using a different weapon or playstyle. Anyways, with gameplay covered, let's get to the real topic of the video. The story. Due to Broken Angel having an original story, we're going to talk about it purely within the context of the game, only bringing up main story stuff when it's exactly needed. So, let's talk about it. Broken Angel takes place between episodes 17 and 18 of the original anime, which correlates to episode 6 in Brotherhood and chapters 8 and 9 of the manga. Ed and Al are on their way to Central via train while being escorted by the absolute peak male in all of fiction, Major Alex Louise Armstrong. While it seems uneventful at first, the train ends up being hijacked by a bunch of terrorists. Edward and Alphonse, being the protagonists they are, go and take down the hijackers, which leads to a fight with a man called Gens Breslau. He's a military policeman who exclusively cares about how strong he is and absolutely nothing else. The train is in my top 3 levels in this game. It's a good tutorial, the level music is great, and the level concept as a whole is sick. As for Gens, this is our first real boss fight. It's nothing special, mostly just the final test of the tutorial level. Just focus on not getting knocked prone and you'll be alright. Overall, 8 out of 10 level. Edward wins their fight easily, but ends up causing the train to derail in the process after Breslau calls him Shorty.
I'll see you later, snotty shorty.
Oh, Shorty? Who are you calling a snot-nosed shorty?
Which immediately lets him escape. He'll be back later. Way too many times. Soon after this fight, the brothers end up in Heesgard. At some point before the game, the brothers ended up meeting a man named Wilhelm Azelstein, who lives in Heesgard. We as the player don't really get to meet him in the context that Ed and Al know him, but just for some extra info, that he also had a daughter named Celine. who, spoiler alert, we don't get to meet. While on the journey into Hisgard, Ed and Al met this girl named Armony, and by meet, I mean she fell directly onto Edward's head and made him get angry, thus throwing us into the main plot.
Got that, Ed? You have to learn to keep your cool. Honestly, Ed, you're always getting... Huh? Ed, are you alright?
What?
Your left hand.
What? I got them! What a relief! Well, I gotta go!
Excuse me.
Seeing as she refuses to apologize, and also calls Ed short, the brothers chase after her. Following her into Hisgard, where tragically the entire town and surrounding area has been infested with bandits and chimeras, they're forced to fight their way through and make it to New Hisgard, which is a town that was built by Professor Azelstein and other refugees from Hisgard. While on the way to New Hisgard, they enter a graveyard area where there's a church. We get a cutscene here revealing a couple of things. One, Saline is dead, it's why we never meet her. And two, Armony is apparently Saline's sister, which means that she's also Azelstein's daughter, who Ed and Al have never met before. This reveal is a little bit weird to me, as it's played off incredibly emotionally, and I won't lie, Ed and Al's reaction is emotional. However, we as the player have absolutely no connection to Saline or Azelstein whatsoever, so it lessens the impact quite a bit. Back on topic though, the brothers are offered shelter by an old pastor, which is quickly turned into not shelter when a chimera and a mysterious woman attack. You can tell she's evil because she's hot. Hisgard and its surrounding area is certainly one of the missions of all time. I love it from a visual design and thematic standpoint, and this is the first level where chimera are your main enemy, you know, not being surrounded by alchemists and fodder enemies. At the same time, they also introduce some annoying as hell mechanics here. Platforming in this game is not very good. If you've played old Castlevania games, it's like that but 3D. When you jump, you're committed to that jump. It's kind of a problem. They also added enemies that only take damage from alchemy, but they also disable your alchemy while you have no way to recover that outside of waiting the horrendously long time limit or leaving and re-entering the area, respawning every single enemy you've already fought up to that point. The boss fight is, well, with how slow this game's camera is, it's definitely not as enjoyable as it could be. He moves around quickly from different floors, bottom to top, jumps onto this chandelier in the middle of the stage, and it's kind of a problem. To do maximum damage, you have to knock its mask off with an AccuStrike, which is easier said than done when it can wallop you away instantly. Also, there's something I didn't bring up in the gameplay section. Sorry, an AccuStrike is where you press a button at the end of your combo to instantly do a fast, accurate strike. Go figure. Start your combo away from it, then approach. The Spear or Lance is the best for this due to the rising AccuStrike it has, so it lets you dodge any attacks while also hitting it. Once you get past that though, it's a fun boss. The cannon usage is nice too. 7 out of 10 level, not as cool as the train. The woman leaves while a single bird feather suddenly appears, then disappears. I'm sure this isn't important and totally won't be a major plot point as the story continues. Ed and Al end up in New Hisgard soon after, which is a supposedly shady town. After a long and, spoiler alert, tedious as hell chase sequence, the boys finally see Armony again.
What's going on? Are you all right?
I think so.
Here you go.
Thanks a lot.
Sir, I don't know what's going on here, but I think you're way out of line.
Who do you think you are? From the looks of you, you're that state alchemist, aren't you?
You're a state alchemist?
So what?
So we can't let someone like you pass, that's what.
That suits us just fine, doesn't it, Ed?
Huh?
Yeah. Now I have a legitimate reason to kick some butt.
And she's busy begging three schmucks to teach her alchemy, who immediately refuse her and then begin roughing her up. This leads to a fight with the three thugs and their alchemist's armor, which Ed and Al defeat. This level blows chunks. 3 out of 10. Everywhere looks exactly the damn same. And you know, I won't lie, presentation-wise, it is a cool level. It's a large shift away from what we previously had with the destroyed town and the surrounding area. The problem is, the entire main point of the level is to chase down one dude holding a crank across a massive sprawling level that looks the exact same with some horribly obnoxious enemies. Oh, and the boss fight is horribly not fun. You have 3 targets with a shit ton of stuff being thrown at you at once. This was the first time Alphonse went down in my run, and it's purely due to this moronic boss fight. On the bright side, it's cathartic to see these guys get their teeth kicked in after they harassed Harmony. That's really the only good part, though. Actually, no, the music is good. Not enough to save it. Like I said, 3 out of 10. With Harmony saved, and after she begs Ed to teach her alchemy now, they join her at her castle, mansion, house thing. Which is why we're introduced to Professor Azelstein for the first time, who, at this point, is already being suspicious. He won't say anything about Celine's death other than it was an accident, there's no body in her grave, etc., etc., and he was studying these things called catalysts to help with alchemy. He also forbids Harmony from learning alchemy whatsoever. He also has 2 assistants, one of which looks familiar, and the other one is evil. She's evil. That's the plot twist. She's evil. The dialogue here pretty much just outright explains how evil she is and how misguided the professor is. They're making chimeras because the last time something related to alchemists with daughters and chimeras happened, that went so well for everyone, including the audience. Well, whatever. For now, Edward and Alphonse gotta go collect flowers, while Harmony tags along and follows after them. The flowers they're looking for are called ether flowers, which are good catalysts for alchemy. The game doesn't really explain what catalysts are in a ton of detail, but they essentially just act as conduits for alchemy, boosting their strength. During this glorified fetch quest, Harmony finally convinces Ed to teach her alchemy, which actually brings us to this slideshow of anime-style stills and an original song, which I'll just let play out now. However, after this delightful moment, Armony immediately gets dizzy and falls to the ground. A glowing wing appears on her back, and as you can guess, this is very much not good. Ed and Al try to head back to the castle to find the professor, but find the entire castle overrun by chimeras. Dear heavens, who could have caused this? The brothers enter into the castle after being informed that Azelstein is probably in the lab. There's a staircase in the castle that leads down to where Ed and Al discover what we, the player, already know. Professor Azelstein is making chimeras, though the brothers aren't quite sure why. Fighting through the lab, Ed and Al find the professor in rough shape, who explains to them that he supposedly made the chimeras for Armony, whatever that means. The ground begins to shake, to which the professor tells the brothers that he can get himself out and that they have to go make sure Armony is okay. She is in fact not okay. This is where we meet Nemda. This pudgy son of a bitch is another one of our main villains. Being a corrupt military man in Fullmetal Alchemist? No! He wants to have his own kingdom. That's his entire reason for being evil. And this is his combat chimera. It's big, ugly, kinda cute, at least according to Al, and is next up on the chopping blocks of things the brothers need to kill, all because it goes and disobeys Nemda's commands, almost eating Armony. I still don't know if I love or hate this level. Playing through the lab section is super fun, but the boss fight is, well, look, if there's one thing bad about this game, it's the bosses. The combat chimera can't be damaged through normal means, requiring you to transmute these seed things it shoots into bombs, then have the chimera inhale the bombs. You would think this is easy, but it shoots a shit ton of projectiles, and later into the fight makes it so any bombs you transmute early get activated and explode before it eats them. It's an interesting fight in the regards of how you defeat it, more interesting than spam square and dodge, but I don't know. The bomb rolling physics are also a hell of a thing to get used to, and it makes this all the more difficult. So this is a, I'll rate this level 1 Elfons screaming fuck yeah out of 10. After the Elrics kill the combat chimera, Nemda gets angry and demands that the boys be arrested. This is where we meet Gens again. He's the guy from the train. He's back to fight Edward and Al, this entire story beat being so forgettable that I literally forgot this boss fight happened after I beat it. This is sadly not where the bad Gens fight ends, though. There's one coming up that I actually think killed my fun. This one is a solid 3 to 2 out of 10. It's boring, not enjoyable, and overall a vibe killer. There's no advice that I can give you on this fight outside of just spam square a ton, because that's really all that it comes down to. He'll jump out of the way of Al, he'll jump out of the way of your group attacks. It's boring. Funnily enough, they actually do almost get arrested, until the man, the myth, the legend, Alex Louise Armstrong shows up. And I mean also Roy Mustang is here, I guess, but more importantly Armstrong. Mustang has Ed and Al arrested anyway because 1, it's funny, and 2, he knows Ed will cause a massive distraction so they can do their own plan. Also, since we're talking about characters from the military now, remember Miss Familiar over here?
Are you all right, miss? I'm terribly sorry about that. I hope you will allow me to pay for the cleaning. If you'll accept, I'd like to make amends by offering a ride. It would be my pleasure. We can take you wherever it is you wish to go.
I suppose that sounds like a fair offer. I accept. Why are you laughing? Do you find something amusing, Major?
Of course not. You look splendid, Lieutenant.
Yeah, as you can probably tell, it's actually Riza Hawkeye. She was undercover as one of Azelstein's assistants, spying on both him and Miss Suspicious over here. Her name is Greta Riddell. And if that isn't an evil name, I don't know what is. As it turns out, Greta is looking for something called the Philosopher's Catalyst. It's basically a makeshift Philosopher's Stone, and is using Nemda and Azelstein to get it. Nemda wants it to make stronger and more easily controllable chimeras, while Greta wants it for, evil stuff, I guess? And apparently Armony and the Professor are the most important parts of the puzzle, so Greta gets Nemda to put out a warrant for their arrest. At the same time, Ed and Al make their way to the roof of the building, destroying another massive bird-like chimera before using some nearby materials to make a makeshift glider in one of my favorite uses of alchemy in this entire series. And I'm serious about this. This isn't a joke. It's simple and cool, and I love it. This level is amazing. Sneaking through a prison as Ed and Al, using the transmutation effects to send dummies across a field of searchlights, followed by the rush to the roof, is such a good feeling. The enemies, while getting to be very bullet spongy, aren't a problem here thanks to the amount of ways you can approach combat. Wind knife and one of these little tanks using the hammer, etc. You know, it's cool. Boss fight is cool too, if a bit annoying thanks to the hilariously high or low sensitivity of the transmuted cannons and crossbows, with 0 in between. Hitting the Chimera with enough damage from either the cannon or the crossbow brings it down to the ground and lets you do massive damage. It's a fun mechanic, leagues ahead of any other boss so far. 8 out of 10 level with a 9 out of 10 boss. The brothers head back to the church from earlier, finding Armini and the pastor. The pastor suggests that they use the old waterway that was designed by Aselstein to get back into the city, as the military has blocked off any and all main paths that they could follow. Fighting through the aqueducts though, the game cuts away to show Armini following after Ed and Al, along with cutting away and revealing Greta to be the hot evil chick from earlier in the game. It's a shocking reveal, I know. Her name is Camilla, and she's a knockoff version of Lust from the main story. At the end of the aqueducts, Edward and Alphonse have to fight a third Chimera. This one is a sea, serpent, eel, dragon, moray thing. The first 0 out of 10 here. And don't worry, there is one more 0 out of 10 here. Everything in this level is a bullet sponge. It's a sewer level, you have no options on how to get into encounters outside of what the game forces you to do. The sewers suck layout wise, it's not fun. The boss fight is quite possibly the worst part. You get a room that's around the size of a gazebo that the boss can hit you from anywhere in. You gotta transmute the objects around the room into a cannon to hit and stun it. But the problem is, there's like 2 fucking cannons. And when you do stun the boss, you gotta hop off the cannon, deal with the Chimera that are zapping you, and hitting you with projectiles that deal 1/4 of your HP bar, and it's just awful. Hey, it's post-editing Aaron here. So I went back to play any level that I rated below a 5 out of 10, and I'm not gonna lie to you, this level isn't as bad as I make it out to be. The boss fight is still awful, like it's genuinely probably one of the worst ones in this game, but the level wasn't bad. It's like a 4 out of 10. The boss fight is still a 0 though. This boss fight kind of blows, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's at this point that Armini is found by Ed and Al, promptly followed by the pastor. They head up to the castle and find Aselstein inside, which is where we get our answers for literally everything that's happened in the plot. First reveal. Armini isn't Armini. Well, she's Armini, but she's actually Saline. Saline was helping Aselstein with the Philosopher's Catalyst research when it went wrong, causing a rebound. It began to transmute Saline, but was stopped by Aselstein. By the time it stopped, however, she had become Armini. Beyond that, seeing as she's part Philosopher's Catalyst, anytime she uses alchemy, she actively loses years from her lifespan. That's the incredibly depressing reason why Aselstein didn't want her practicing alchemy. At the same time, Armini's actually listening in on the conversation, running away to her room, missing out on hearing her father say how he wants her to be able to live as a normal human girl. This reveal, while something that I saw coming, was something that reminded me of the tone of the original 2003 anime. It's in line with a lot of reveals in that anime and a lot of different plot twists, and if you've seen the original late 2003 anime, you know exactly what kind of stuff I'm talking about. Overall, while predictable, it's a good twist that I didn't mind. Right at this moment, Nemda makes his move on the castle, sending in the military as he breaks the gate down. We also cut to Armini writing a letter to Edward specifically, though we don't learn the contents of it quite yet, because Camilla kidnaps her immediately afterwards.
Hanging in there, Ed?
Yeah, but we may be in over our heads.
I know.
Perhaps you could use a handful metal. Fighting requires rationality. Fighting single-handedly against countless foes, such foolishness will only wear you out before you're beaten senseless.
Colonel!
And fighting also requires a sense of aesthetic beauty.
And Major Armstrong!
A beautiful physique begets beautiful skills, and beautiful skills beget beautiful power. Behold, the artistic alchemy that is the Armstrong tradition.
Come on, this isn't your show. Would you stop screwing around and just give them the message, please?
Hi, Lieutenant Hawkeye.
You mean you could tell that I'm me? Edward, we've got trouble. Armony's been kidnapped.
What? Harmony's been kidnapped. Who's got her?
The professor's assistant, Greta. They're probably still in the castle. Just leave this place to us. Go rescue her. She's counting on both of you.
Ed?
You bet. Let's go!
I'm pretty sure Mustang could solo this entire damn game, but hey, we gotta keep him in the background exclusively so he doesn't. It literally doesn't rain a single time in this game, so he would be completely fine dealing with most of these threats. Yeah, but whatever. Back to the brothers, they gotta fight Gens a third time. I don't know who on the design team thought that this was fun, but welcome to Gens 3. This jumpy bastard hops around like a cocaine-powered dump truck, and he takes about as much damage as one too. For the entire fight, he takes 1 damage. See this cannon? 1 damage. Spiky ball? 1 fucking damage. Takes so damn long to beat. You get 2 hits in, he jumps away. You run up, he jumps away again. You kind of just gotta pray that he gets arthritis for a moment and refuses to move, because this is the only damn time you're actually gonna get to hit him. And the worst part about this is that he's the barrier to enter the single best level in the game. I hate this boss. 0 out of 10. No, actually, you know what? No. We're giving this a Netflix adaptation of a beloved franchise out of 10. That's right, we're going back to the old style of YouTube where we give things obscure and weird rating systems. This fight isn't fun. It's not enjoyable. Case closed. It's been sentenced to the fucking sludge pits in the umpteenth secret layer of hell. I actually hate this boss fight so much. After dealing with that bullshit, which, just to clarify, Gens is working with Camilla because plot. The brothers begin their ascent, fighting through floor after floor of military and Chimera alike. It's at the top where the brothers find Camilla, Armony, and Azelstein. With the professor injured on the floor, Ed and Al fight the 3 main Chimera for a second time, falling right into Camilla's trap. Seeing as those Chimera were fed with dead alchemists, specifically the alchemists who came to New Heathgard under the impression it would be its own land of alchemists, the death of those Chimera acted as a mass sacrifice, perfecting the Philosopher's Catalyst.
The time has come, finally. Daddy and Dad. Now, give me the Philosopher's Catalyst.
It hurts, doesn't it, Camilla? But you should already know of that flower's catalytic energy.
beauty. My sweet beauty.
Camilla begins to extract the Philosopher's Catalyst from Harmony, but is interrupted when the professor throws an ether flower at her, destroying the Philosopher's Catalyst. No, I don't really understand how either. But this causes Camilla to freak out and begin the final boss. Castle Heescart is the single best level in this game. It feels like the ascent of Dracula's Stairs in Castlevania. Good combat, good level design, incredible music, super fun encounters, all in a build-up to the final bosses, which all fall tragically flat. The 3 Chimera boss rush is clustered and annoying, and Camilla and her big purple Chimera are just disappointing. Just get a crossbow on Camilla and she's dead in an instant. Her purple ooze goes down in 4 hits too. That said, for the standards of this game, this is a 10 out of 10 level. And with that, Harmony is freed from the purple goo monster, though she's looking rough. Azelstein requests Ed and Al pick up the feathers from her wing while he takes her back to the lab to heal her, and then apologizes silently to the brothers and to himself as he takes Harmony away, knowing that he can't actually do anything. While Ed and Al collect the feathers, they both notice what's happening, and when they finally chase after Azelstein, they meet at the alchemy works.
Here they come.
Where's Harmony? Thank you.
Hold it right there.
Hey, if you can't tell, we're in a hurry!
The report will have to wait.
Hold it, I said.
What's gotten into you?
I was specifically asked not to allow your entry.
By who? Is that so? Well, then we're just gonna have to force ourselves in!
I'm sorry to do this, but we're not gonna hold back.
Edward, you have to listen to us.
There's no time! Harmony's in danger!
You never stop to think, do you? Think about Harmony's feelings.
Harmony's feelings? Who cares? She's my apprentice. I have to help. I have to save her! What good is a master who can't help his apprentice? What good is alchemy then?
So you have to.
Yes, I have to!
Then you give me no choice.
You think we're only kids, don't you? And we'll grow up soon enough. But that's not true for Harmony. Now is all she has!
I figured this day would come around sometime.
Get out of the way!
You're not supposed to win this fight. Armstrong and Mustang are nearly impossible to beat, though they are beatable. Nothing changes if you do beat them outside of obtaining specific items. Story-wise, they're technically the real final bosses of the game. They were requested to specifically not let the Elrics through, and I'll just let the cutscenes here play out.
You've got to be kidding. That's impossible. You weren't able to transmute a single thing. Is this the end? Is this it? Harmony!
Ed.
How could I be so helpless?
Ed.
Why couldn't I do anything?
Ed.
Why am I so powerless?
Ed, look. What is that? A feather? Harmony's? So it is.
Yeah.
Does it hurt?
Hi, Daddy.
You must hate me by now, but
That's silly. How could I hate you?
you don't have to talk anymore. My dear, you may not have realized this, but I have always loved you. I cared for you more than anyone else ever could. But no matter what I tried, I just couldn't understand what would make you the happiest. What I could do to make my daughter happy.
Daddy, you're so silly.
Harmony.
I knew. I always knew. Because, I mean, I'm your daughter, and daughters always know. Daddy,
Yes, dear.
I am your daughter, aren't I?
Silly girl, of course you are.
Okay. I guess we're both silly then. Like father, like daughter.
Harmony!
Delight.
Don't be afraid. I won't let you go alone. This will be ours, only ours.
I'm sorry.
You dummy. You big dummy. Are you satisfied? Does that make you happy?
Did you see? Were they smiling, Edward?
Dear Ed, I'm writing this letter in preparation for our inevitable farewell. Well, I guess there's no reason to be so
formal. But I know that when the time comes, I won't be able to tell you face to face. I mean, it might just degrade into another one of our shouting matches. So I'll write. This way, I won't have any regrets. You know, Ed, you taught me that no one can gain anything without making some kind of sacrifice. That the law of equivalent exchange in alchemy also applies to the order of the world. But I don't think that's necessarily true. Sometimes we can sacrifice all we want and never gain, while other things require no sacrifice at all. I can just picture you bellowing, "You just don't get it." But Ed, I haven't sacrificed anything. I haven't been able to do a single thing for anyone else. Not just for you and Al, but for the pastor or even for Daddy. And yet, in exchange, I've received something so big, I can't even begin to imagine what the equivalent price would be. Equivalent exchange may apply to the order of the world, but not to people. The human existence lies on a higher plane, one that's not bound by those silly rules. At least that's what I think. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent like that. I really just wanted to thank you. So I'll write it right here. Thanks. And that's from the bottom of my heart. Whenever I think of you and Al, I'm so grateful. Not that I'd be able to tell you face to face, of course. But I couldn't possibly get away without letting you know, even if there was nothing I could do or nothing I could give. So, yeah, I think this letter was a good idea. I hope you get what I'm saying. Maybe... No, I won't go there. It's getting noisy outside, so I'll stop here. Farewell, and take care. And thank you for everything. Best wishes to my small but mighty master.
Let me help you make your wish come true. Yes, of course. The boys are here too. Oh.
Oh, I get it now. Harmony's alchemy never failed. It was just dormant.
She may have become a great alchemist indeed.
But if you die, then that's the end.
Are you watching?
It's okay to cry, Colonel.
Don't be ridiculous. Let's go!
Let's go. Get a move on, Al.
Ed, slow down. There's no need to hurry.
Indeed, the library isn't going anywhere.
You're a bunch of slowpokes.
He's acting like a child. Oh, I beg your pardon, he is a child.
It's okay. Ed, look out! Ed, can you go anywhere without plowing into people?
Are you okay?
Yes, oh.
So sorry.
That's okay. I'm all right.
Here you go. I'm really sorry.
Oh, thank you. Are you going to be okay?
Me? Never been better. Let's get going, Al.
Oh, wait, Ed! Bye. Is something the matter, Ed?
No, nothing. Central, here we come!
Azelstein gave his life to finally give Armony a life as a human. She may have different hair and a different voice, but she's finally getting exactly what her father wanted. And that, after a hell of a lot of tragedy, is where Fullmetal Alchemist and the Broken Angel comes to a close. Is Broken Angel canon? Probably not. Am I gonna say it is in my stupid little headcanon? Absolutely. The ending is in line with the themes of the 2003 anime and its movie follow-up. Sure, there's hope, but we also see that the girl that Armony came at the cost of 3 lives total. Salene's, Azelstein's, and Armony's, to become this unknown flower girl with no memory of Ed, her father, or even who she was. We see Ed breaking down, and even at the end, see Mustang and Riza paying tribute to where Armony and her father passed, all in a scene that's really reminiscent of a particular one from the main story that I won't spoil for people who haven't seen it, but it's a bittersweet ending to a story that I still don't really know how to feel about. The villains are one-dimensional at best. Camilla is really only talked about at the very end. We see her once early on and don't even learn her motivation until her fight ends. And before you ask, no, she's not even a homunculus. She's just Camilla. She wants to be beautiful. Nemda is another pawn character. The only group of characters we really learn anything about is Azelstein and Armony, which I should say are the definite highlight of this game. Their scenes together, while brief until the end, do solidify their relationship and how they have an actual history. The interactions between the main cast are the real stars of the show here, because the character writing for them is the single best part. Ed, Al, Mustang, and Armstrong all feel exactly like their main story counterparts. The writing in Armony's interactions, especially with the brothers, really made me genuinely care about her, and it got me legitimately invested in the story. It's just a shame that character writing is surrounded by a lackluster story, with loose motivations for the main villains, and a lot of random fodder enemies with no purpose. You also only really visit the same 4 locations over and over again, which feels like padding at times. Overall, there's 2 questions to ask. 1, is the game good? And 2, did I enjoy it? The most important thing in gaming isn't if a game is good. It all comes down to enjoyment. Take it from me, I love Sonic 06, and that game is certified 100% hot dog water running down the back of your shirt. The answers, for 1, yeah, I think? And for 2, yes. Absolutely yes. It's a 7 out of 10 game with a 5 out of 10 story, but some 9 out of 10 characters. The writing is snappy, funny, and emotional, just like the writing of the main series, but story-wise and, sadly, gameplay-wise, everything else falls short. I still definitely enjoyed it, and there's actually 2 other games in this line of PS2 Fullmetal Alchemist games, with there being a prequel and another unconnected, I think, Japan exclusive one. Maybe one day I'll cover these. I just gotta wait until the Japan-only one gets a fan translation, even though it'll never happen because I've heard that these games are a bitch and a half to crack. I wish a game like this got another chance, because a DMC-style Fullmetal Alchemist with a skill-buy system to learn more alchemy as you go and having new alchemical styles come from bosses as if they were devil arms would actually be really sick. Anyways, that's gonna be all from me. If you liked the video, consider a like and a subscribe. If you've played this game before, drop a comment. If there's any other weird or obscure games you want to hear me talk about, let me know. Anime or not, I'm always looking for new stuff to play, because, I'll be honest, I'm running out of things to play. Destiny 2 has lost its spark, and, I need some single-player experiences. So that's all. Remember, don't try to revive dead family members, always remember the rules of alchemy, and of course, drink your milk or you'll be short forever.
Shorty? Who are you calling